Oftentimes, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we will cover the topics of strange mythological beasts, witness reports, and the overwhelming evidence for their existence. Throughout this research, however, there appears to be instances in which rumours of mythological beasts arose up by locals wishing to play a prank, or for individuals to gain fame and fortune for their strange and unexplained discovery. Although these creatures were later discovered to be a hoax, they have still lived on in the world of fascinating points of conversation or interesting tales to tell. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we will be going over 5 different mysterious creatures of which never existed and the reasons for their hoaxed and fabricated nature. The giant bird of Washington. Referred to as Washington's eagle, the great eagle, or the giant bird of Washington, there appeared to be a strange bird far superior to that of the size of the bald eagle spotted by ornithologist John James Audubon, and referenced to in his published book known as The Birds of America. In it, he describes seeing this one-of-a-kind species on 4 separate occasions that appears to be massively larger to that of the bald eagle and native to the areas of North America. This surprised many ornithologists, as it appeared that this was a previously undiscovered species and that it must be so rare as to have never been seen by any other ornithologist in the region. When looking into the information John James Audubon shares on the bird and its stature, he claimed that the giant bird of Washington stood at least 3 feet in height and having a 16-foot wingspan, making it the biggest eagle and bird in North America. Despite only John James Audubon being the only individual of whom had reported seeing the strange bird, it was immediately accepted by the ornithological group and was believed to have been a previously undiscovered species of bird. It took a few more decades before experts realized that the bird not only did not exist, but that some experts even insinuated that John James had only made up the sighting to sell more copies of his book containing this rare bird that no other book had yet reported. Today, Washington's eagle is widely reported as complete myth or having as been a case of mistaken identity with that of the golden eagle. The Jackalope. Seen as one of the most humorous mythical creatures ever told, the jackalope was created as a sort of tongue-in-cheek tall tale that hunters would often tell to those less experienced in hunting just to scare newcomers into the sport. The first ever real mention of the jackalope came from 2 hunters of whom had learned the art of taxidermy and were interested in creating weird and interesting creatures. One day, after hunting a group of hares in the region, they had joked about attaching large antlers to the hares and creating a jackrabbit and antelope hybrid creature, which later spawned the name the Jackalope. After the 2 hunters created the taxidermy work of art and sold it to a popular hotel in the region, it turned out to be a hit amongst hunters and cryptozoologists of whom wanted to know more about the strange creature. The taxidermy model was so interesting, in fact, that someone actually stole the model off the wall when no one was looking in the hopes of performing scientific tests on it to see what species it really was. Although the creature was openly admitted to being a hoax, this did not prevent hunters from creating funny and elaborate stories surrounding the creature to tell their friends and loved ones. Some claimed that the jackalope was such a vicious creature that you would have to wear stovepipes to prevent it from gorging through your legs. Others would claim to have milked the creature in the hopes of selling incredibly rare and highly valuable jackalope milk. Some of the more popular myths even go as far as claiming that you can lure the jackalope in with a bottle of whiskey and that when it is close, one must be sure not to listen to it as it can imitate a human's voice and will attempt to claim anything to keep you from hurting it. Anything goes with the myths of the jackalope, it appears, and that has helped to keep the memory alive for well over the past few decades. The Australian drop bears. Coming from the same spirit and intention of those of whom invented the myths of the jackalope, the Australian drop bears seem to hold the same tongue-in-cheek motif seen commonly amongst these stories of made-up and fantastical creatures. The Australian drop bears were described as being similar to that of the koalas, with the addition of long, razor-sharp teeth and an insatiable craving for dropping on the top of people's heads as they walk in the forest and attack them. The story and myths of the drop bears were originally created to scare tourists of whom were new to the area or just visiting, while also providing entertainment to the locals as to the wildness of the stories and the reactions received from the locals. Although drop bears do not actually exist, this has not prevented the lore of the creature from being made into books, editions into cryptozoologists, and a part of local tall tales of encounters with the creature. In fact, the Australian Museum contains a written entry for the drop bears authorised by a prestigious animal biologist, of which gives a detailed account of the drop bear from a scientific analysis as well as a serious tone. It is classified as Thylactos plumitus and describes the drop bears as being large, arboreal, predatory marsupial related to the koala. Further information can be gathered which describes the creature as being the same size of a leopard as well as having the same coloured coat and large premolars. The Jenny Haniva. Appearing to be a scam that stretched back as far as the early 1500s, the Jenny Hanivas were the source of a large amount of income for those of whom fashioned the creatures to be sold as proof of a small demon. It appeared that fishermen would find a species of stingrays and dry them out to make them look disfigured and of having the same bodily proportions of a man after distorting the creature to look more human. This led many to believe that the dried bodies were evidence of a small demon and would often be sold to the highest bidder of the region, of whom believed that the bodies could be used as a source of great and immense magical power. This led to an early animal biologist named Conrad Gesner, of whom wrote a book entitled The History of Animals Volume 4 back in 1558, in which he draws images of the disfigured creature and reports that they were actually the dried and disfigured bodies of stingrays and not that of miniature dragons, demons or monsters. This failed to educate the majority of people, however, of whom suffered from illiteracy and continued to develop the lore of Jenny Hanivas amongst many across the world. People even began reporting that the creatures were basilisks of which could kill with a single glance, and that is why it is impossible to see the creature naturally in the wild, as anyone of whom has ever come across the creature would most likely not live to tell the tale. Today, it is well known that the creature never existed and only worked as a scam by fishermen into tricking those far more gullible into believing the tall tale and paying a ridiculous price for the dried body. This has not destroyed the popularity of the creature, however, as many still taxidermy the stingray and will even dress it up to look more demonic or that of a terrifying monster. The Wolpertinger. In German folklore, myths of a creature known as the Wolpertinger existed all throughout the region that detailed the creature was said to inhabit the alpine forest of Bavaria in Germany, but was ultimately believed by many as being nothing more than that of fairy tales and legends. This did not prevent people from continuing to perpetuate the myth of the existence of the Wolpertinger and go so far as trying their hardest to recreate an image of the creature on their own and use the taxidermist techniques to accomplish this. This quickly led to a wide variety of creature designs of the Wolpertinger that many created out of nothing but sheer love and imagination for the myths. Interestingly enough, this also led to a small fringe group of whom genuinely believed in the existence of the creature to posit forward taxidermy creations as the real thing, believing that not only were these stuffed creations of a real Wolpertinger, but that it was more than enough evidence to convince others to believe in the creature. Of course, these were later exposed as being fakes and nothing more than works of art, but this did not stop fans of the design from giving up on the popularity of the creature that would later be used as a template of interesting creative works and a piece that many taxidermists try to emulate. The Wolpertinger is described as having a body that is comprised from a variety of animal parts such as wings of a bird, large antlers, long furry tails, long fangs, and the body of a platypus. Some portray the creature as having the head of a rabbit, and even confusing the designs with that of the jackalope. Today, the Wolpertinger can be found roaming the forests of the land of 1,000 fables in the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt video game. But what do you all think of these strange mythical creatures that never existed and seem to be nothing more than the fabrication of those seeking popularity or to scare away those annoying and pesky tourists? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.